It was not pretty, but I am still alive, confesses Rory McIlroy with a wry half-smile that seems equal parts relief and frustration. In a single sentence, the reigning Masters champion captures all the tension roiling at Oakmont Country Club this week. One could almost hear the collective gasp as he barely avoided an ignoble end to his U.S. Open ambitions. But just how did we arrive at this nail-biting moment? What propelled Sam Burns, a player hungry for his first major title, to ascend the leaderboard by taming Oakmont's notoriously brutal fairways? And why is the defending champion, Bryson DeChambeau, now heading home well before the weekend? Today, we are diving headfirst into the drama, the euphoria, and the heartbreak unfolding across one of golf's most revered stages. Buckle up, because this story has it all. Let us set the scene. We find ourselves at the halfway mark of the U.S. Open. The hush of anticipation, shattered by the roar of cheering fans, resonates across the fairways and greens. Oakmont, a name that strikes terror into the hearts of even the world's best golfers, becomes the backdrop for a cat-and-mouse game between athletes of rare skill. In this grand theater, Sam Burns seizes command, springing from a promising contender to the top of the leaderboard with breathtaking flair. Meanwhile, Rory McIlroy fights tooth and nail to remain relevant in the conversation, and Bryson DeChambeau is forced to reckon with the sting of an early exit. In this episode, we will unfold the larger-than-life stories that place these athletes on a collision course with destiny. We will examine how an emotional meltdown can nearly shatter a champion's dream, how a resurgent star can see an opportunity for his maiden major victory, and how one of the game's greatest challenges, Oakmont itself, can crush or cement a golfer's legacy. Here is a roadmap of the key questions and thrills we will dive into. First, we will peel back the layers of Sam Burns' meteoric rise during the second round, dissecting how his sizzling performance came to be. We will also break down the fortunes of J.J. Spaun, whose promising start crumbled under Oakmont's unrelenting pressure. Next, we will explore the highlights and heartbreaks of other contenders, from a chip-in eagle by Victor Hovland to the mesmerizing calm of Adam Scott, who seems to relish the punishing nature of major championships. Finally, we will walk through how Rory McIlroy, after nearly losing his composure in front of fans and fellow competitors alike, somehow clawed back from near elimination. We will close by examining the tragic downfall of Bryson DeChambeau, the man who once hoisted this trophy and looked ready to challenge golf's entire status quo, now suddenly gone before the weekend is even halfway finished. Whether you are a longtime golf aficionado or someone who just loves a great sports narrative, this story promises to keep you on the edge of your seat. Sam Burns' second-round heroics began early, when he teed off from the 10th hole amidst the buzz of fans clinging to every shot. Burns took advantage of Oakmont's soft morning conditions, an opening few hours where the wind had not fully awakened to wreak havoc. By nailing approach shots and sinking putts from improbable distances, he built a foundation that left spectators gawking at the scoreboards. Burns' style has always been crisp iron play and consistent putting, but few expected him to unleash a performance so commanding at a course known to crush major dreams under its lightning-fast greens and unforgiving rough. Armed with a calm demeanor, Burns multiplied his birdie count at a pace that felt like a slow-burn detonation, each stroke erupting in applause. The highlight reel included a mid-range putt with a tricky downhill break on the par 3 13th and an epic up and down on the par 4 15th, where he skirted the edges of a formidable bunker as though guided by some invisible hand of luck. But the biggest shockwave arrived on his finishing hole, which tested the mettle of even the steeliest of hearts. Burns' tee shot veered badly, slicing into the rough. After taking a penalty drop, fans collectively held their breath. Could he salvage the brilliant round he had built? Burns responded with one of the greatest putts of his life, rolling in a par that felt more triumphant than many players' birdie moments. In stunning contrast, J.J. Spaun, the first-round leader who initially looked unstoppable, saw his fortunes reversed during the second half of the day. Where day one was a masterclass in precision, day two was an exercise in persevering through adversity. Spaun's tee shots began straying. Hazards that he had danced around previously started tightening their grip. And before long, his plan to simply recreate the magic of a bogey-free opening round evaporated. Bogeys materialized on two of the hardest holes on the back nine, holes 15 and 16, proving once again that Oakmont demands unwavering focus. He did manage to claw back with a breathtaking birdie on the 17th, but the 18th extracted its revenge, leaving him trailing Sam Burns. Amid all this turbulence at the top of the leaderboard, a handful of other names emerged as possible threats. Victor Hovland, the charismatic player from Norway, exhibited a steady patience that belied Oakmont's complexities. With a chip-in eagle that seemed pulled out of a fantasy, Hovland reinforced his reputation as a bold shot maker. His easy temperament and unwavering confidence hint that he may have the resilience to chase Burns through the championship's last 2 rounds. Adam Scott, an established veteran with a classical swing that has inspired a generation, also remains in striking distance. The man has not missed a major appearance in nearly 100 attempts, and that sense of experience and calm suits Oakmont's harsh tests perfectly. Even contenders like Ben Griffin are showing glimpses of brilliance that prove the weekend could still shatter or solidify many a dream. Yet, in the swirl of all these rising and falling fortunes, perhaps no storyline is as dramatic as Rory McIlroy's near collapse. The pressure to secure another major and add to his legendary status has been mounting all season. Early in his round, signs of unraveling became impossible to ignore. A double bogey here, another poor approach there, and then, in plain sight of everyone, McIlroy lost his composure. On the 12th hole, he unleashed a flurry of frustration so raw that he sent his club flying, the metal glinting under the sun before thunking into the grass. Worse still, fans reported heated words that betrayed how much tension and self-expectation had built up inside him. Golf purists might frown on such displays, believing composure is half the battle, but from the perspective of pure drama, this outburst was a thunderclap. Could McIlroy right the ship, or was he about to fold and exit just as the weekend commenced? Miraculously, he regrouped in the final stretch. On the raucous 17th, a drivable par 4 that lures players into a high-risk shot, McIlroy managed to keep his tee shot in check. He squeaked out a timely par and then mustered a birdie on the 18th, despite a tortured expression that suggested every muscle in his arms might fail. In the end, he slipped in by a single stroke, one of the smallest margins of relief imaginable. If this roller coaster of birdies, bogeys, eagles, and scrambled pars resonates with you, let us take a moment here for a quick breather. If you love following these breathtaking, emotional turns, go ahead and give us a like or a thumbs up. These events do not come around every day, and your support tells us you want more front row seats to golf's most dramatic arenas. Continuing with our tapestry of narrative threads, we now turn to defending champion Bryson DeChambeau, whose exit has rattled fans. He had carried lofty ambitions to become the first back-to-back champion since Brooks Koepka achieved the feat in the second half of the previous decade. Standing tall with unmatched power and an analytical approach to the game, DeChambeau initially enthralled onlookers with his bold driving distances. Yet, at Oakmont, raw power can be rendered moot by the cunning design of Dick Wilson's or Henry Fownes's architecture, with monstrous bunkers and diabolical slopes that demand strategic cunning. DeChambeau saw his advantage neutralized by swirling winds, devilish rough, and nerves that refused to settle. His final day was sealed by an all-around meltdown that resulted in multiple bogeys and more than one dreaded double bogey, culminating in a staggering total that was well into red flag territory. By the time he trudged off the final green, shoulders slumped, his hopes of defending the title were all but crushed. This abrupt downfall served as a bracing reminder. The glory of one year means nothing to a course like Oakmont if you cannot adapt and evolve. Even the world's best can be laid low in a matter of cruel holes. And so, DeChambeau packs his bags, leaving behind a swirl of speculation about how he will recalibrate his game after such a defeat. Meanwhile, we cannot ignore the presence of the current world number 1, Scottie Scheffler, who came to Oakmont seeking to affirm his dominance on the grandest stage. His tournament, up to this point, has not lived up to his personal standards or the lofty expectations of fans. Struggling to find the sweet spot on his drives, battling with putts that veer offline at the most agonizing moments, Scheffler finds himself over par and worried about making the cut. The echoes of pressure from the media and the public can weigh heavily. If he does squeeze into the weekend, he might attempt a miraculous comeback. But the margin for error at Oakmont is microscopic, and Scheffler's patience may be tested if conditions worsen. Reflecting on the broader picture, Oakmont's devilish design has once again delivered the drama. This iconic venue, with a century's worth of stories woven into its bunkers and doglegs, consistently proves it is no mere backdrop. It is an active participant in this drama. Players often speak of how Oakmont gets into your head from the moment you arrive. The severity of its challenges can stress even the quietest heartbeat, short-circuiting the mental game that is crucial to success in golf. One slip in concentration, and your ball nestles into a buried lie somewhere you can barely see from the fairway. One unsteady read of a green, and your putt rolls past the cup, through the fringe, off a slope, and out of the bounds. The course is practically designed to mercilessly expose weaknesses, adrenaline and tension, relief and heartbreak. The US Open typically promises this and more in the final 2 days, yet we have already seen enough Day 2 carnage to fill an entire highlight reel. Sam Burns, for his part, remains the flashpoint, the prowling cat who has sniffed opportunity and is ready to pounce, should the course allow him. Some wonder if he can keep such a cool head. Others question whether the pressure of leading might cause him to second-guess the very free-flowing style that carried him to the top. The next 48 hours will reveal whether Burns has the intangible champion spirit, the intangible grit that is so often overshadowed by pure talent. And what about those chasing him? J.J. Spahn's start indicates he has the imagination and skill to tame Oakmont when he is in rhythm, but will he rebound from the Day 2 humbling? Viktor Hovland's unflappable presence suggests he could exploit any misstep by the leader. If we have learned anything from the first 2 rounds, it is that leads can evaporate at Oakmont with alarming speed. One hole can shift the entire complexion of a tournament. If Burns falters on, say, the opening hole of Day 3, we could see a leaderboard that looks unrecognizable by Sunday afternoon. The casualties would be heartbreaking, but that is the double-edged sword of major championship golf. Heartbreak for some, jubilation for others. Needless to say, on Day 3, keep your eyes trained on the pockets of the course that have been tormenting players. The lightning-fast greens, the rough that devours short iron shots, the bunkers that often force layups and reduce even the bravest players to trembling hands. Traps disguised with cunning illusions can prompt misguided shot selections that unravel a round in the blink of an eye. The weekend's pressure only accelerates these potential fiascos. Indeed, a tournament can be decided by who manages those fiascos best, capitalizing on enormous momentum swings. The psychological battle intensifies with each passing hole, each swirling rumor of eagles, chip-ins, or triple bogeys from a few groups ahead or behind. Fans, meanwhile, cannot help but bring their own brand of excitement, cheering or groaning en masse. One can only imagine how it must feel to attempt a critical par putt of maybe 8 feet, while thousands of eyes bore into your back, tension so thick you could slice it with a wedge. For McIlroy, an athlete who has borne the weight of countless expectations, that delicate putt on the 18th to avoid missing the cut was akin to the swing of a guillotine. Miss it, and you are just another star packing up for home, overshadowed by the sensational new leader. Make it, and the story continues, albeit fraught with drama and the knowledge that the margin for error is paper thin. If this winding story of hope, heartbreak, and redemption resonates with you, why not subscribe? That is right. Subscribe if you want to stay plugged into every one of these moments, from the sensational comebacks to the shocking implosions. After all, we have only reached the halfway point, and the weekend is bound to be even more electrifying. Circling back to the scorching round that Sam Burns has delivered, it is worth noting how statistical anomalies sometimes converge with momentum to produce something that seems nearly unstoppable. Burns, though younger than some other contenders, has quietly been honing a skill set that merges calm nerves with technical proficiency. On a typical tournament course, a few small mishaps might be easily correctable, but here, at Oakmont, the margin for error is so slim that every missed fairway or flubbed bunker shot can escalate to a nightmare. Yet, with the exception of that dicey final hole on the second day, Burns has managed to circumvent these pitfalls, turning high-risk scenarios into triumphant displays of skill. His attitude heading into Day 3 is crucial. Will he guard his lead obsessively, trying to avoid mistakes at the expense of capitalizing on scoring opportunities? Or will he keep pushing the envelope, leveraging his confidence to grow his lead further? History is littered with examples of leaders who played it too safe in the third round of a major, only to be overtaken by an aggressive competitor behind them. Conversely, there have been flamboyant challengers who no sooner found themselves in the spotlight than they took too many risks and crumbled under the weight of their ambition. Burns' best chance lies in balancing those extremes, executing the shots he can trust while respecting the diabolical nature of Oakmont's layout. Potentially overshadowed in all this hype is the fact that the weekend remains a proving ground for so many players who, while not dominating the headlines yet, could seize their moment. The weekend often brings a surge from an unexpected name. A certain big-hitting newcomer or a quiet veteran might catch fire and card a few consecutive birdies, launching them up the ranks. Meanwhile, the swarm of cameras and spectators hovers around each move of Rory McIlroy, rumored to be seething with determination after that near disaster. Can he harness that restless energy for a monumental comeback? And do not let us forget the overlooked angles often overshadowed by the marquee names. The caddies who chase yardages and read perplexing greens. The families who watch from beyond the ropes, hearts pounding whenever their loved one lines up for a crucial stroke. The relentless pressure of making the cut can weigh more heavily on a young player trying to keep a PGA Tour card than it does on a veteran multimillionaire who already has trophies at home. Each competitor has a unique motivation, each group weaving subplots into the overarching tale of the championship. As we pivot towards the critical weekend, we cannot resist the lingering question. Does Sam Burns have what it takes to become the new champion, rewriting the narrative that has so often favored more familiar names? Or will Oakmont, in a twist that has become nearly customary over the years, once again prove that no tournament leader is safe until the very last putt drops on Sunday afternoon? Perhaps adversity will transform JJ, spawn from a fading star back into a force to be reckoned with, or maybe Viktor Hovland's calm and skill will triumph. Even Adam Scott, the steadfast veteran, might have a prime window of opportunity for greatness. The possibilities are as sprawling and unpredictable as the fairways themselves. At this juncture, golf fans around the globe brace themselves for more enthralling developments. Day 3 typically separates those who are merely on a hot streak from those who have the training, composure, and will to stand up to a daunting venue. And by day 4, the gallery will be all too eager to celebrate a champion or mourn a tragic unraveling. The cruelty of Oakmont lies in the knowledge that it can play the villain in anyone's story. Even if you have the lead, you can never breathe too freely. One chunked approach, one misread putt, can melt your cushion away in a heartbeat. For Rory McIlroy, his precarious survival might just be the catalyst for a spectacular turnaround. Sports history is full of champions who looked vulnerable until an unexpected moment of clarity kicked them into overdrive. Maybe that place in the cut line is exactly where McIlroy needs to be, forging an underdog's narrative that makes victory all the sweeter. Or perhaps Bryson DeChambeau's early exit foreshadows a new era of major champion dependence on strategy over raw power. So many questions swirl, and few answers will be final until we see how everyone fares under Day 3 pressure. However the leaderboard evolves, the US Open at Oakmont has already proven to be a drama well worth watching. The collisions of skill, temperament, course design, and fate have molded storylines that captivate even the most casual observer. We have seen emotion boil over, we have witnessed heroic saves, and we have glimpsed the heartbreak of those who fell short. Yet, in golf's timeless tradition, hope remains for any competitor with a tee time come Saturday morning. Some might come to Oakmont seeking personal redemption, others might attempt to rekindle an old spark of glory, while a select few might chase their first major title with the unbridled enthusiasm of youth. It is a swirling mix of possibility, heartbreak, and nail-biting tension. Whether you have followed every hole or have just tuned in out of curiosity, keep your eyes peeled and your ears open. The next drives, the next putts, and the next leaps up the leaderboard could reshape the fate of this championship in a matter of minutes. Will Sam Burns hold firm and stride toward his maiden major? Could JJ Spawn find his first-round form once again? Will Rory McIlroy channel the champion within to produce one of the greatest comebacks Oakmont has ever seen? In any case, the time for answers is fast approaching, and the stage is set for one of the most riveting weekends in golf. Let us see who emerges unscathed from Oakmont's thorny grasp, hoisting that coveted trophy come Sunday evening. As you watch, may your own nerves hold steady, unlike those of certain players who now stare at their clubs wondering where it all went wrong. This is the US Open at Oakmont, after all, a crucible for the sport's bravest souls and a place where legends are made or dashed.